Hi guys, Coach Bon here. Okay, so today I'm going to be talking about why you shouldn't hate the narcissist. Okay, right. So I've been going through a few of my favorite YouTube content makers. So it's still popular for people to see us in a certain way. Okay, uh, to heap blame upon us and this and that and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so probably not probably, but so we do propagate it to a certain extent as well. Okay, so this video will be my attempt to tell you guys why you shouldn't hate on the narcissist. Now let me clarify, okay guys, when I mean you shouldn't hate a narcissist, it does not mean that you don't protect yourself from us. So that's one thing you should definitely do. You should definitely protect yourself, but you shouldn't hate a narcissist. Now why is that so important? Because once you hate a narcissist, what the way you respond to us would be differently, and we will notice. Okay, we will notice, and then we will react accordingly to that response. Okay. Okay, obviously if you respond with hate, we perceive you as a threat, so we will respond accordingly as well. All right, now before I go to the reasons why you shouldn't hate a narcissist, right? Okay, just to recap, for anyone who is trying to understand us, okay, I can see while you are trying to go through that process where you are trying to break yourself off from the trauma, okay, heal yourself from the trauma with a narcissist, you do go through the process of anger sooner or later, right? you will you will go through that process. Okay, it's kind of like, yeah, a separation, a loss, I guess, grieving period, I don't know. Okay, so apparently there's some stages to it. So you will eventually go to a stage where you get anger, where you feel anger, and you will feel like you want to get back at the narcissist, right? You will try to hurt them again. Okay, so before you do that, let's try to keep things under a certain perspective. All right, i'm not saying I'm not saying you don't protect yourself. Again, I'm not saying you don't protect yourself. And if you do feel that you need to, okay, let's not use the word hurt, let's say the word discipline towards another narcissist, always bear in mind these few things. A narcissist is basically an overgrown child emotionally. Okay? Emotionally, we're an overgrown child, right? So just to recap, if you're wondering what's this emptiness that we have inside, it's that feeling of shame and guilt. Okay? Extreme shame and guilt. We feel that all the time, every time. Okay, the reason why we feel it all the time, every time, it's because in this day and age, okay, even for you guys, even for you guys, I do know that you feel a healthy dose of guilt and shame, which causes most people anxiety, right? I mean, it causes a lot of you guys who are not narcissistic anxiety, I would imagine. Okay, so one thing, when you're talking about narcissists, we are kind of protected from those situations. Okay, we don't usually feel anxiety unless we do not get enough fuel, right? So in a sense, our cause of anxiety is different. Okay? In any case, shame and guilt is always pervasive in the society lah. I think I'm just not saying us, pervasive with within this particular society, unfortunately. So in effect, we feel guilt and shame all the time. All right, Narcissi will feel guilt and shame all the time. Now, only difference between us and you, with normal people, with empathic people, or all this kind of stuff, is the amount of shame and guilt that we feel is when we were children was to such an extreme level, was such to an is such to it's so painful that the mind decides. This is my theory, okay? Right? Could be wrong, could be right. But in any case, the mind decides that in order for me to survive this situation, it created my narcissism. It created this protective coping mechanism very early in life. I mean, think about it. If, let's say, I do not have this coping mechanism when I was growing up, there's a very strong chance I will not grow up properly. I would be even more, uh, I would be even more fucked up. Can I use those words? Meaning here, I would probably kill myself sooner or later, right? So, because of we were sensitive to guilt and shame, or probably because the immense amount of guilt and shame heaped upon us when we were children. The mind decides, okay, this guy needs help. Okay, let's give him the narcissism right now before before he dies, something like that. Now, I've talked about narcissism in great detail, about what it was given for, why the adaptation were given. So now I'm going to try to tell you guys uh, how it's supposed to work. All right. Now, our whole lives, we have to learn again how to be adults. I'm 42 years old, and I'm still trying to learn how to be an adult emotionally. So if you look at us from a perspective of a child, an emotionally stunted child, right? We need guidance from people around us. We still learn from people around us, right? I'm fortunate because enough people in my life reacted towards me in I perceive as a loving manner, okay? Which I perceive as a loving manner, right? That it allowed me to somewhat be a bit braver, okay? A bit braver, okay? And I react accordingly. I'm still a narcissist, unfortunately. Since I spoke earlier that the narcissism is embedded already in my mind. Okay? But I do see a situation where I do not need it. All right? It's kind of like you keeping a warm a warm coat in the drawer because you don't need it anymore. I do see a situation where that happens. And that situation is the fantasy that we have in our minds. All right? Okay, unfortunately, we do not see any evidence that we do not need that code. Why? Because people respond to us in a hateful manner, demonizing us. I mean, if you were a child and you were like constantly given a stimulus that is similar to hate, I mean, just imagine it, okay? I mean, a child will make mistakes, but if the parents react to the child, try to discipline them in a hateful manner, what's going to happen? Think about that. We will react accordingly. What do you expect us to do? Do you expect us to intellectualize it? Oh, you know what? She's doing this for my own good. Does that ever work? You can see if someone hates you. You can feel it. And if a child detects that the response he's getting from other people is hate, of course we're gonna react accordingly. So the fantasy in our mind, the hypothetical world that we have in our mind is a world where everyone loves us, not just us, loves everyone. And we don't see evidence of that most of the time. We don't see evidence of that. We only see evidence of people hurting us even more, creating more guilt, creating more shame, hating us even more. All right, I'm not saying that you shouldn't protect yourself. Go ahead and protect yourself because we are dangerous to a certain extent. But you have a choice in how you respond. So I have to give a shout out to Chief Pete and also to Kaylin Sisu for responding to us in kindness. It actually shows myself and hopefully other people that there is a different world out there than from the one that seems to cause all this pain that we have inside, that we actually need this narcissism to protect us. So that's why you shouldn't react. You shouldn't react with hate towards narcissists. Protect yourself, but every time you respond towards a narcissist, maybe it's a better way to respond to them in a more understanding, if not loving manner. Because that narcissist will go to another person and will learn from you. Perhaps because of what you did, he'll think, you know what, everyone's trying out to get me. So it's time for me to get everyone else. No one, no, everyone will try to hurt you sooner or later. So before that happens, I need to either control everyone or I hurt them back before get what I want and go to another place. So that could happen. Now, this is for any self-aware narcissist, self-aware or narcissistic people, or someone with who thinks being a narcissist is great, approaching people with a narcissistic tendency is great. Now, look at how people hate you. Okay? Because of all the manipulations, because of all the abuse that you did. This is for those people, this is for us. Obviously, it's difficult for us to feel empathy for other people, right? Oh, you know what you're doing is hurting them. Okay, fair enough. I understand. But if more of these people hate you, you're going to get hurt sooner or later. And you know you are easily hurt. So if you want to change, base it on that. Okay? If you haven't realized it yet, my narcissist brothers and sisters, if you haven't realized it yet, the more people you piss off, the more potential you're going to get hurt. All right? So, my brothers and sisters, avoid all this pain, man. Avoid all this pain and stop abusing people. Because in the long run, you'll abuse yourself, all right? That's what I'm trying to say. Stop abusing these people because in the long run, you'll stop the abuse towards yourself. So help yourself by helping others, in a sense. So again, I want to make sure people understand what I'm trying to say. Don't hate the narcissist, but always protect yourself from them. So I don't really want to tell people about how we do what we do. I think there's a lot of channels already who's telling you about why narcissists do this, why narcissists do that. But for those of you who's trying to figure out the motivations, always think about in these terms, all right? The motivations are always for us to avoid the pain of shame and guilt, and to a certain extent, fear. So these three things always drives the our actions. Those three things always drives our action. If you're wondering about it. And some people were asking us, okay, how come they feel so happy? How come they feel so happy? How come they feel so entitled? How come they look like they don't feel any of it? That's because the narcissism. It's not even real. Okay? It's not even real. So think about that for a second. So if you guys are wondering why we act like that, it's because we can't help it. It's the narcissism trying to protect us. If not, most of us already will probably kill ourselves. But narcissism protects us in that way. I don't know if that makes you feel better, but it is what it is. That's how it works. Okay. I hope that gives some perspective on people who are abused. All right. I'm really sorry to everyone who had to go through a narcissistic abuse. But I implore, discipline us with love instead of hate, because we'll know that. We'll know that. We'll learn what we did was wrong, and more importantly, we'll see that actually the world is a different place. A world that probably sooner or later we will not need this narcissism in within us. Okay, that's it for this video. Hopefully it helps.